I hear Lauren screaming. We're live, everybody.
Yep, that's my wife squawking in the background.
Squawking. Hey, everybody. Let me pause this. Let me go. Let me do a fade out. That didn't work. I'll just stop it. There we go. Hey, it's the first official episode of F13 podcast with Brian and CliffyB. Look at that merch over there. Beautiful.
Thanks, customink.com.
Yeah, I am Brian. With me as always is Clifton. Clifton, yes. It's Clifford today.
Yeah. It depends on the day of the week. Today is Clifford. I feel like it's Friday because we normally record on Friday, but it's Thursday. Yeah. But we shall make it work.
Right. We are live on Twitch, by the way. We're going to try something new. It's on my Twitch, twitch.tv/laughatbrian. We're going to see if anyone wants to join us. If not, no big deal. We're going to see what happens and have some fun with this. We have a very fun guest today. I can't wait.
He and I go way back.
You got a lot of those, which are my favorite guests because a lot of cool stuff we can learn and hear about.
We got convention stories
about you back in the day are always fun.
yeah. There's a lot of embarrassment there, and I really don't care, so I have no problem sharing it.
And that's okay. We're gonna bring him in. Let's bring him in. Are you ready?
I am ready.
We're gonna talk about what he's done when we bring him on. But huge excited to be here. I'm excited for him to be here. Chris Morris is here, everybody. What's up? Oh, I
did you just mute him?
No,
you muted me.
I muted him, and now you know what? It's live. Who the fuck cares?
Welcome. Now shut the fuck up.
Try it again. Thanks, guys. Thanks for
Cut. Do it again. Okay. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah. Excited to be here. Excited to chat some video games.
I feel like I haven't seen your face in quite some time.
I know it's weird, especially now with this just like the distance and like everybody like working remote. It's like, man, I feel like 90% of my social interaction is like this through like a screen. I have to like actually explicitly go out and try to see people and hang out with them. Otherwise, you're just like texting or on Discord, and that's like we've just kind of accepted that that's like sufficient now.
That's
I get yes to just staring into this HAL 2000 like cold dead eye.
Make sure you like are locked in on the webcam so you're making proper eye contact.
Do my best, Erica Kirk.
Oh God.
Yes. So you guys go way back. Tell us briefly Cliff, how'd you guys
Hey Chris, do you want me to tell the Facebook story?
Ooh.
The Facebook story. I mean, my memory gets foggy going back 15 years, so whatever you want to jump in on, go for it, and I'll fill in the blanks of my perspective.
Well, so for some time, like I'd go to GDC, I was working hard, I was playing hard, right? Thank you, Caffeine and Claret and D. And then, like I'd be at the Epic booth or I'd be walking around the convention center, and this young gentleman kept coming up to me every year after year. And like, I interact with a lot of people, have a lot of interviews, a lot of stuff to show off, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really make note of it. And it's the classic, like, hey, I'm hoping to get in the business. And I'm like, sure, man.
You and everybody else.
Right.
Yeah. And I try to not be a dick. And like, you take the cards and you don't really, unless the card does something to grab your attention, or it's just somewhat different. There's like, there's a butt on your card, like that kind of thing. And
that's how to get Cliff's attention. Just put a butt on your business card.
I cannot lie.
It's coming out of school.
Exactly. New game devs listening. Put a butt on your business card, and you will be working for Cliff.
Yeah.
Butts talk. Fart joke. And so he came up to me one year, and gave me this business card that looked like a Magic the Gathering card. And I never even have played Magic, although I respect the hell out of it and the empire that they have. But I was like, oh, this guy, he's standing out from the herd. And I put it in the good back pocket, the one that I saved, not the back pocket to throw away. Right?
I have all these Ninja Turtle Magic the Gathering cards that I bought. And
that's dope.
I don't play Magic either, but I spent $500 on like a bunch of sets when they came out, and I want to sell them, but I got some good ones. Nothing crazy, but I'm like, what am I gonna do with these?
We did not plan talking about Magic today. Brian just happened to have that on him. I'll just let that sit there.
That's true. I have all these. I have hundreds of cards
out
there, but whatever.
Yeah, but TMNT is to Brian as Transformers is to me, just for the record.
Okay.
What's your thing, Chris? What's your like Turtles, Transformers, He-Man? Do you have something that was like that's my shit?
What is my thing? Man, I don't know. I'm a big anime fan, so not the like American cartoons and comics are also great, but what would I pick, if I was gonna pick like one? I really I grew up on like Toonami, like Dragon Ball Z era. So if I was gonna pick like whatever one formative like anime, like that would absolutely like have to take credit for it. But I watch like so much stuff now. It's just like I love all the anime, comics, books, whatever, anything nerdy, right? I try to get my hands on it. I guess that's like a lesson maybe or takeaway like I got from Cliff too. At one point, he's got this like sort of spiel he does about grist for the mill, right? And it's like you gotta, every time you're like putting stuff out in the world, like using creative juice, you gotta like add back in, so you got like your kind of your ingredients, so you can you can cook.
Sit down with your spouse. You're like, did we watch this? I don't fucking remember. But hey, so real quick, the whole story about Chris is that like I have a public Facebook, but I also have a personal one. So because I actually do post personal shit there. I really have nothing to hide, but I don't like random ass people on my feed. Like, do I know this person? I don't really know. I don't care. Like, what is their opinion on hot dogs? I don't know. and so then I added Chris on my personal Facebook, and I checked my messages, and it turns out like every year at GDC he had tracked down my personal Facebook somehow, and then had been like, hey man, you around? Hey man, you hanging out? We're at the W bar. You want to hang out? And then like I saw each one year after year, awesome. And then eventually realized like, oh, now you're working at Bosky, like, and they're I mean, all jokes aside, it's a fun story, but there's a life lesson to be had there, to just keep on knocking. There's the saying, half of success is just showing up, and Chris showed the fuck up.
Yeah, always says that like if I'm not booking stuff that I should be, like more so comedy wise, she's just like, you just have to keep being annoying, just keep being annoying to people, email, call them, just keep. I'm like, I don't want to be annoying, but you have to do that like sometimes. So yeah, I
mean, for my end, right, it was like when I was younger, like when I was, I don't know, getting out of high school, right? I think that was like when like 360 was coming out, like Gears was coming out. I was already like I had been like, even when I was younger, I was like I wanted to make video games, right? I knew about Epic from playing Unreal tournaments, right? And it was always kind of like, oh, there's that one little page in the back of the GamePro magazine about like go to school, like learn to make games, right? Yep. So obviously like growing up steeped in games and just like kind of caring about the who's who of like who's making stuff, right? Like anybody that might be a big fan of like whatever a random band or something would do. I was using like early on in like when blogging was big in gaming, right? Using opportunities through like writing for Destructoid and stuff to like go to GDC without having to pay the exorbitant GDC fee, because like you don't know how to break into the industry. Like no one had a template for you. Can't go to
forgot you worked at Detour for a bit.
Yeah, and so like it was actually even further back, right, when MySpace was still a thing. I think I ran into Cliff maybe when it was like the height of Gears 2 or 3 at some Detoid party, right? And then like we were like friends on MySpace for like a minute before MySpace kind of went away. So it was always kind of like I don't know, it's like you want it to be like serendipitous without being like cringe and creepy and awkward. And like when you're just this awkward nerd trying to learn how to socialize in the game industry and you like look up to like your rock stars, it's like that's no one teaches you how to like navigate that line properly. So it's kind of like a minor miracle Cliff wasn't like who like get out of here nerd, right?
But so what did I say to you at that party? What do you recall?
At the Detoid party?
Yeah.
At the Detoid party, it was just kind of like you were talking to me about yeah, essentially what it was kind of gassing me up a little bit of like, hey dude, like it's kind of never too late, like like I actually I just like I went through this stuff and like I kind of like you had made Gears and you had made some money and then you went through the divorce and then you like lost it, right? And like so you were kind of like talking about essentially like I guess riding the wave, right? Like just in sort of I don't know, being like human.
The bottom line is I wasn't a dick.
No, not at that Detoid party. I mean, I don't know that I've ever kind of just like brush up with you at like a random party and like you've ever been like a dick, which is, people say don't meet your heroes, right? And like there's some validity to that, because there could be a very real, like, on one side you're looking for a specific type of interaction, and if it doesn't go well, it can totally deflate everything. And then the other side, the person might be like exhausted of like, oh man, I've been talking to people all day, like, and
that's when it's time to kind of do the Irish exit. But for the record, the divorce was before Gears, so that thankfully I'll leave it at that. But yeah, those parties were fun.
I'll piggyback on that. Like, I've seen Cliff interact with a lot of people at like conventions and locally around here, and people that do know you and just kind of like, is that, even my first time, like you're never a dick to anybody. Like, even if you want to be, like, you'll wait till they leave, obviously. No, but like, you're not really mean to people.
Hey, leave this guy over there.
Like, you're very generous to servers at restaurants, people like out in public. You're very nice, and like, yeah, we can all be weird and awkward, but it's like, if you're just nice, like that's all we want. That's all people want to take away from this. Like, I've seen people, gush to you about what Gears meant to them, and I know it kind of. I feel like that really means a lot to you when people still say it after this long, and it's cool. It's
cool, but it gets frustrating because you don't want to be the sitcom character that's like for the rest of your life. Did I do that?
I don't think you'll be that.
Somebody on my public Facebook broke it down because I was like, "Does everything?" Like, I'd be like, "Man, this line's really long at Starbucks," and there's like, somebody pokes in, it's like, maybe you should chainsaw it. It's just like, come on. And somebody brought up a really, really mature point where they're like, look at Robert Downey Jr. He's had this fantastic career. He's been in a million amazing films, critically acclaimed, but he's forever going to be Iron Man, and that's okay. And I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable with that, but I still want to be known for a lot of different stuff. But let's talk about what Chris is known for. Damn it.
Yes. I got a question, Chris. So what was that like? I mean, was Boss Key your first like studio job that you got?
So it was a little tricky actually, because I was maybe like a junior at DigiPen, and I was looking at what I like trying to get internships and stuff, and I had gone to a couple like Blizzard GDC parties and met some folks. At there was a time when like I had met Chris Avalone, and he kind of like was taking me to some stuff and introducing me to folks, and that kind of helped me network a bit with Blizzard people. So I got that internship, and I really enjoyed it, and I was like totally intending to like try to go back there after school. Had like an offer from them, and then Bosky had posted like an internship, and this was after seeing like Cliff was like retiring, and I was like, I guess that ship has sailed, c'est la vie. And I was like, it might be kind of fun to just try it for the internship. But I was graduating, and I was like, but it's also risky because I'm really gonna I'm turning down like a full-time job offer at like essentially my dream company. My dream game, like working on WoW. And I was like, man, is this like a good move? Like, because I'd had it hammered into my head, like, you want to be a game designer, like good luck being employed. And I was like, oh God, like, what am I doing? And even I had friends at school that were like, nah, dude, like internship, it's not a good idea. I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. And I applied, and I got the offer. And I was like, I'm gonna go for it. I'm just gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna YOLO it. And then, I got there, and it was like, that was basically kind of my first like, all right, now I'm like properly like working in like a studio outside of like, because that turned into like a full-time job. And so I was really green. I was really nervous, right? I had thankfully people that were, really. Kind of backed me up, like Cliff, and then we had some really awesome like gameplay programmers there, like that really supported me, like Josh Parker and Matt Fishman specifically, and like were helpful in like having that internship turn into like a full-time thing. And I was also like, I was just invested in working like as hard as I needed to work, as hard as I possibly could work, honestly, to like make that real. So
you got the dream job.
But we put him in one of the offices that didn't have any windows.
I know, dude. It was next to like this sealed up like abandoned elevator shaft with this terrible draft, and the floor was like slanted, so I could never like actually have my seat be stationary.
I posted this photo on social.
A rolly chair that kept moving all the time.
I was just constantly rolling, dude.
All you could see was just like this glowing monitor and Chris's little face,
Just
because
like
he always wore
hunched
black,
over.
so it was like his glowing head just right there in
Yeah.
the dark crevice of the office.
Yeah, I
I
never
just-
had the light on in there.
I just pictured you coming in having a serious chat, like, "Hey, Chris, you know what?" And he's just rolling out of the way because the floor is crooked.
Exactly. It's like a
Get back here.
typewriter.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
funny.
it worked out in regards to your contributions to the title. And we had my whole thing is the studio is open, I think, from the inception for about 3.5 years. And the first couple of years were a lot of fun. And we made our share of mistakes. Actually, of all people, I don't know if you remember, Chris, Brian Crescenti got in touch with me, formerly of Kotaku.
Okay.
And he's been writing these like postmortems of game studios and the lessons that those who founded the studios have learned. I'm like, it's been nearly a fucking decade from Boss Key. Can we just like let that slide? And I'm like, oh, all press is good press. Maybe I'll do it.
People want to know. People want to know. I mean, you wrote about it in your book. It's an interesting story, not just yours, but a lot of like when this happens,
Yeah.
whether it's good or bad. I think people do want to know these things. So whether it's to avoid it in the future, whether it's to learn from mistakes and things like that, I think it's actually a positive thing.
I just, in
know?
hindsight, one of the things, if
I know,
you
so-
read that article, no, he should have just built up to 20 people and called it at that and stopped and put out something fun and simple and cool and little, as opposed to like we still had that AAA bug that everybody had hired. Like, no, this isn't enough. We need to make it boom. And then we were already working on the hero. I remember Fishman turned to me one day. He's like, we need abilities, dude. We can't just make a simple arena shooter. I'm like, all right, dude, just fucking run with it. And I was trying to just let everybody do what they wanted to do. And then just the features kept growing and growing and growing. And then Overwatch was announced and we were all like, fuck.
Yeah.
And our art was technically good, but it was still missing that je ne sais quoi, that style, that look, it was technically competent, but it didn't really have that special sauce visually in regards to that twist.
Sure.
Cell shaded or some sort of look to it, right? And our character designs were good, but they weren't really out there enough. And it's one of those things that the gameplay was good, but in the market was just crowded, where everybody just suddenly was, making a hero shooter, and it became the latest smoke that everyone seemed to be chasing. And people acted like we built Lawbreakers in a month to suddenly, Overwatch is big. Let's make one of those in a month. Like, that's not how it works, you fucking idiots.
It took us years to get here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Overwatch had really kind of, by most accounts, been like a pivot from, something not entirely different, right? But like a different style of game, like a more of like an MMO into a hero shooter. So I think it would have been, if like, I don't know, maybe Lawbreakers had launched 1 year earlier or something, that could have made a lot of difference. Because like Cliff said, I think even looking back, the game was like super competent. Like movement was good, netcode was great. Like it was just fun, right? Like we had actually done like a really good job, like just nailing like the like important parts of like a shooter. Like all the game feel stuff was like solid. We had like really competent people working on it that made good decisions. So for whatever that's worth, it's like there's just some things that we couldn't control for, like that were outside of
for some reason the game, maybe it's just because it didn't blow up, it wasn't really meme worthy, and we live in a world where you live and die by your fucking memes,
especially now.
For real. And Blizzard really tapped into, they didn't go full anime, but there was just enough of that there I'll be frank, for the Gunner squad to start getting going with that. And they're like, oh, Blizzard's just getting so much credit for not sexualizing their characters. Like, have you seen Diva skin suit, motherfuckers? Get the fuck out of here. So yeah, that was fun. And but yeah, I mean, Chris, though, didn't you actually get like an actual quest of yours in World of Warcraft at one point?
Oh, I have a bunch of quests in World of Warcraft. Because after Boss Key, that was when I ended up going back to Blizzard and hopping back on the WoW team. So when was that? That was during like the Battle for Azeroth era. So what did that be? Like maybe 2016, something like that.
I read that Blizzard book that Jason Schreier wrote last year, and I was unaware of 99% of that stuff. Like, it's crazy anything got made from that book. Seemed like it was just a complete chaos at all times.
I think it was
company.
I think it was Pardo told me on a phone call that World of Warcraft almost broke Blizzard when they were making it. And once the game was live and, it started, and the majority of the team was like, fuck this, I'm done here. And then global phenomenon. And then everyone else, in the industry is like, hey, wow, we need one of those. And then you wound it up with, Asheron's Call and Age of Conan and all of those MMO games. And that's the trend that, people make that mistake, and we to some extent even made it with Radical Heights, as much as we were trying to pivot and still do. Yeah, it was a battle royale, but I thought we had enough of our unique spin on it. But Fortnite came along, it's like, fuck you guys, and then hackers hopped in there because we didn't really have any good cheat protection. It just all went and that was that.
Yeah.
So what is kind of cool, I don't know how many folks are aware of this, is some enterprising hackers have been spending, I think at this point, longer than we spent making Lawbreakers and plus Radical Heights, and have reverse engineered the whole server layer. There's a client, there's a matchmaking backend, and Lawbreakers is fully playable again. It's a pretty good level of parity with the retail release of the game. I think at this point they've got all the abilities, game modes and stuff pretty much locked in. So that's kind of rad, right? To think about.
It's crazy when fans do stuff like that.
And I mean, even thinking about whatever this week, or was it last week, the whole Sony thing of discs going away and game preservation, Romero chiming in on his Twitter about preserving all the original id stuff. It's I actually did an interview, speaking of Lawbreakers a little bit more, a couple years ago, of just the chiming in on this article covering live service games that have gone away and how sort of tragic that is, and if there's anything as an industry we could or should do about it. And it's kind of cool that someone cared enough about this game that was really just sort of a blip in the grand scheme of things, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna make Lawbreakers fully playable again. What an awesome person to go through all that.
I haven't followed them in a while. I remember when it was first announced, and I was like, sweet, somebody's doing this. Somebody actually cared. And same thing with Radical Heights. So I need to dig that up and see what the heck they've been doing. The other thing of that, I'm saying, of course, Tencent, Freudian slip there. Nexon doesn't give a fuck. They're just like, you know what, fine, we'll be over here doing our thing. But the thing is, somebody actually took the very first Unreal game and they're remastering it. And I've told Epic many times, that game had a lot of magic to it, and with the latest technology and some of the ideas for the environments, that would just be a very, very cool experience. They're doing it. It looks really good, and I'm just I'm hoping Epic doesn't shut that down, because Epic's litigious, but they're not quite as litigious as, say, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting a new entity for some stuff that I'm working on. The first thing that popped in my head, our dog's named Evie. And I'm like, Evie Squee, because her nickname's Squeevy. So I'm like, talk to my lawyer. I'm like, call it Evie Squeevy. And he's like, yeah, you might. I mean, that wouldn't be public. That would just be the LLC behind the scenes. And he's still Nintendo has people or bots or whatever just searching.
Yeah, just because of the Pokemon name.
Well, did you guys see the latest trailer for Pal World? The latest update trailer?
I have not, no.
Nintendo went after them. I don't know what the current status of that, because that is really so I'm watching it on my computer. I have my speakers on because Lauren isn't live with her stream yet. And she's on FaceTime with the niece. And I hear the niece go, what is that, Disney music? What's he watching? And Lauren's like, it sounds like Pokemon music. And a second later, I'm like, no, this is Pal World. And Lauren's like, oh. And then I'm watching. I hadn't watched Pal World footage in a while, and there's just anime looking characters with full on AR-15s gunning down these Pokemon characters, not giving a fuck. And Lauren's like, yeah, when they die in Pal World, they fucking die. In Pokemon, it's oh, it's been knocked out. He's going back to his Pokeball. It's in Fortnite, you kill someone with your gun, and they just the little thing. It's ooh, they're being teleported back. No, you just fucking totally murdered that person. Let's call a spade a spade. But yeah, so Nintendo very litigious. And I wouldn't mess with them, but anyway,
they ended up resolving all that, right? Power World and Nintendo, they've kind of been able to come up to some sort of situation in which they can keep making Power World, right? I mean, there was a period where it seemed like it was not gonna move forward for a bit.
Well, I didn't know about there was a lawsuit between the PUBG guys and Epic and Fortnite. because I was talking about like you can't really trademark game mechanics. Like, Unreal Tournament had Capture the Flag and Deathmatch, which were from Quake and Doom. And well, not Doom for CTA. Well, there was probably a mod, but anyway, like, like you can't really do that. But apparently there was, I Googled it, there was some sort of back and forth that got, Epic squashed it or it got settled or something like that. So
The
there is
Nemesis system from the Lord of the Rings game.
yeah.
Yep.
They actually trademarked or copyrighted that or whatever.
Yeah.
But as much as I just don't like that stuff. I think it just kind of feels dirty. It's like, this is our trade secret. And it's like, let the market bear what the market bears. And I say this as somebody who had a studio that fucking failed.
We got a couple of questions from this guy Red Dog on Twitter. This one, I don't know. Did any of y'all watch the Jeff Kaplan interview on Lex Friedman? I have not.
I watched a bit of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. I specifically I enjoyed watching the whole EverQuest portion of that and his sort of comeuppance through how he took EverQuest to sort of work through some personal stuff and learn leadership skills and segue that into networking with Blizzard, and then ultimately the rest is history. I thought that was a really cool story as a big EverQuest fan myself.
Nice. Cliff, this is a fun question. Would you say games are like comedy in that you can design something you think is perfect, but you never really know what's going to hit?
Well, I'm going to attempt to answer that and then defer to Brian, who's my Sherpa for the comedy thing. Well, that's the thing is I see systems with different things, with Broadway, with money, with comedy, and comedy for me, it's a lot like it's a lot of iteration. It's the same thing with the restaurant business. You do a friends and family, and then you open it up, and sometimes you need to pivot. And Brian, you've told me before. I've heard some of your sets that I thought were really, really great, and you're like, yeah, I tried out that new joke, and it didn't work at this one venue, but then the next venue it fucking killed. And I'm like, how do you? And same thing. Well, the thing about open mics, because I told you I got accepted for tomorrow night. I have a whole 3-minute bit that I'm going to do. When you do it for other stand-up comedians that are struggling, and they're usually in the back, I don't want to, this guy's not funny, that kind of thing. It's hard to read the room, and that's life in general. But the thing about life in general is it's iteration. And that's why I loved Jerry Seinfeld's movie Comedian, because it showed how he'll show up at the Comedy Cellar on a Tuesday night and try some new shit, and it's not going to work. But that's how you get better. And that's me with trying stand-up and failing at it a whole ton. And occasionally, but it's like golf. I hate this game. I hate this game. I hate this game. I love this game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, every joke I write and tell, I think is going to work. That's obviously not the case.
It was funny to me.
Right. That's why you try it. And then you're just like, no one feels this way. All right, let me try. And you try it 3, 4, 5 times. If it gets nothing after the 5th or 6th time, I'm like, even if I really believe it, I'm like, I can't keep doing this because nobody's on the same page.
But I mean, that with Brian and I, Chris, Brian and you should try it at some point, dude. It's just a great experiment to just do one thing every day that scares you, like me getting.
Try doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Oh God,
dude, you're a funny guy and you have a very affable laugh. But Brian and I bonded over so many of these little things, our beloved local club is called Good Nights, and it's technically in the basement of a Shake Shack. And I've seen so many comedians do the whole well, I guess my career's blowing up because I'm in the basement of a Shake Shack, wubba lubba dub dub, and you're like, yeah, dude, that sucks. Okay, you're insulting the very venue that's hosting you, and
there's 40, 50, 100 people here anyway. One who came to see you.
Yeah, they fucking paid, right? And they're eating that brownie sundae is really good. But then they're one thing is if you try a joke and it doesn't work, acknowledge it. Be like, well, let's scratch that one from the list, and that in and of itself is kind of funny. So there's just so many of those little things, and then crowd work. Some comedians fucking hate it. I love it when they sit in the crowd, because we went and saw one of those wild and out guys in the big room on July 4th. I had nothing to do. And so Lauren and I are like, fuck it. They put us in the front row, 95% black crowd. And he looks at me and he goes, one of the opening comedians, he's like, what's your name, sir? And I usually say Clifford, like the big red dog, right? And I was just like, nope, I'm just going to, in the whitest voice possible, go, Clifford. And that just gave him stuff to riff on the rest of the night. And the crowd thought it was fucking fun. And that game of volleyball that I always talk about, just, nobody paid to come see me, so right. if they pick on me, fucking feel free. They called Lauren Paris Hilton, and she could have made a comment about, sucking a dick on camera, but she didn't. That just went whoa all over the place.
So I actually went to a stand-up show recently. It had been my first in a while. And the group is called Monsters of Tokyo. They have this sort of regular thing in Tokyo, but they came to the States and toured and did like an all English set.
Nice.
I I don't know if I've laughed that hard ever in my entire life. They were
Awesome.
like so fucking ridiculously funny. Like there was like one guy that just his delivery of everything, I was like crying. Like my eyes were puffy because I
I
was
love it.
crying by like how hard I was laughing. I would highly recommend if you ever have like an opportunity. I don't know if they're gonna do another US tour or whatever.
Yeah.
Go see them. They're like
I'll keep an eye out.
I just emailed
ridiculous.
myself to make note for later because my pen just went flying across the fucking room, and I'm not gonna go get it to show off my bald spot. But yeah, so dude, the state of the biz. Let's talk a little bit.
Yeah,
about this.
we mentioned it obviously, like with the digital stuff. We talked about it last week, and now all these layoffs. And so yesterday I was waiting for a friend to meet up with somewhere, and I looked at the first post, the first tweet that PlayStation put out since the hey, we're getting rid of discs, right? It was all they were doing was promoting a new fight stick that somebody made. The comments were the most vile, horrific shit I read maybe the first 30. I was like, I have to stop. This is
Oh no, I haven't read any.
It just shows you, like, obviously gamers get such a bad rep anyway. Like I think rightfully so for the most part. But like this was just some of the worst shit I've ever read. And the whole like I get it. It sucks. Yes. But the whole point of people like, if it's not physical, I'll never buy it ever again. I'm just going to go on PC now. It's like, what are you buying giant PC boxes? Like those don't exist anymore. Everything on PC is digital, right? But like the way people think, like I've never bought a digital game. You're lying. Of course you have. You've downloaded something. You've bought something. You've got PlayStation Plus or Game Pass or whatever it is. But man, people were so mad, and it was like hilarious, but also the saddest thing I've ever seen of how.
So when it comes to the movie thing, right? We'll get back to the comments in a section. Yeah. But when my wife and I, we have this nice movie set up, blah, blah, blah. It's my happy place. Every night we go down there, right? And I fucking love it. And like I accept that, like we're gonna rent a movie. Okay, it's gonna be $15 to $20. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna enjoy it. I mentally I know that if I'm gonna come back in 6 months, it sucks. But I'm gonna have to pay another $15 to $20 to watch it again. Like if I want to show a family member or a friend, that's the world in which we live, and it still fucking sucks because I still have a big DVD and Blu-ray collection. I'd be like, oh, let's bust this out, and you want to watch, Donnie Darko? I still have that, but unfortunately, I have a nice big dumb house where everything fucking breaks, but I don't have enough room for all that. And I don't want to get one of those, what's that, Prism or whatever they call devices where it strips all the Blu-rays and puts it into one giant hard drive and all that.
I've seen those, yeah.
But you still have to have the Blu-ray for it.
Right.
And I don't know, man. Like that's the whole saying that they say, which is crazy. You will own nothing and you will like it.
Yeah. No fun. Chris, what are your thoughts on the current state of the biz?
That won't get you in trouble.
Yeah.
It's a little bit scary for multiple reasons, right? It's like games are getting more expensive. There's the kind of the increase in like hardware costs, and so having consoles and games go up in cost, and not having access to like being able to maybe buy a physical game used. I think it's gonna squeeze a lot of people who are just game fan, like that's their hobby, right? And I think as we're seeing different studio closures and downsizing and stuff, then on top of that, making games more expensive and less accessible feels a little bit like it's gonna squeeze that harder and not actually maybe trend the business broadly in a growth direction. So that's a little scary as just a game industry employee, right? Of is the industry gonna is the Western game development gonna be here in 5 years? What's that even look like? What's the future hold? No idea. Just in the meantime, just gonna keep making stuff and trying to put out cool things and hope they resonate with people and bring some joy. And but on the note of more philosophically on game preservation stuff, I'm a big game collector. I always have been. I really like physical media. I think what we make it is art, right? And there's I think there's some trust in I buy stuff on Steam and Valve isn't gonna just pull my game licenses. They have, I don't know if there's precedent for it or if there's random games. I'm sure someone out there might be what, this game disappeared from my library and I didn't like that. But with the Sony stuff, it's I think they just pulled something like 500-ish movies out of
Yeah,
people's
yeah.
libraries, and
Yep.
so like that's it's a little bit scary. I think even you have pretty like big names in the industry that are coming out to talk about this, right? Like Romero is definitely one of them.
Mhm.
Kojima came out. Like
Kojima said some
Kojima's like
stuff,
a
yeah.
big like physical media fan, and like he has some really great points on that. And
Here's the thing: is disclosure and a little bit of data goes a long fucking way, right? When I was in my 3 months of group therapy for my drinking, right? We had all these exercises we did. One of the therapists sat down with the other therapist and did this whole thing where she had made dinner, and the husband, the other therapist, was like late by like 20 minutes, and she was getting all upset that she made the dish, and I pipe in and I'm like, this could have just been solved with a text. Like, hey, hon, I'm going to be running late tonight, probably about 20 minutes. Okay, hon, I will figure that out. And like the next day, it's like, how could you have done? I'm like, what am I paying for this shit? And the second thing, I'm going to tie this into full circle. So stay with me as I'll be moving in a circular motion. Sony knows how fucking long they have the license for these films.
Yep.
All it would take is you're welcome to spend 20 whatever bucks on this. Just a heads up, as of the spending of this money, this license for this film will expire on X date. That may change.
In 2035, you can't play this game again, or something like that, right?
That is subject to change, and if it does, we'll let you know. But until then, call our lawyers. I mean, it's not that simple, right? But that's just some sort of way of letting play, so you know what you're fucking getting into. That's my TED talk of that. I went all the way from alcoholism to game and movie licensing.
Well, just giving consumers more information to make educated purchasing decisions. There's like, at least from the consumer side, there's nothing like negative about that. It's like, if I know, whatever, like if I'm, I can wait 1 day for this Amazon package to arrive and I get an extra $1 digital credit and I can make that choice for myself. Like, okay, cool, right? Or if I really want to watch this movie on my PlayStation and I want to watch it or on Amazon or whatever before it, is out of theaters. But like as soon as, the end of the year hits, then like maybe I don't have access to that anymore. It's like, well, I get to make the choice. Like I want to watch it now and then whatever, like I won't have it anymore. And like
otherwise it just feels sneaky. And I mean, again, it's not another one-to-one, but you remember, our boy Damon, who's one of our dear friends. He's work hard, play hard. I've never seen this dude in a bad mood. He likes, some free-to-play games. And I had a conversation with him one night. I was like, dude, what are you playing that for? He's like, look, dude, I've gotten X hours of this and it was free to play and I've put in 50 to 20 bucks. And if the game was 15 to 20 bucks, I feel like I got my money's worth. And I was like, that is the best description I've seen of being comfortable with putting a little bit of money into a free to play game. Because some people are like, I will not spend one fucking dime on that. You're like, are you getting value out of it though?
Right. Yeah. People never think about that. It's like, it's a free game. You can't complain if it's a free game, I think.
Dude, I was balls deep in AAA, and we went out for a pint, and he showed me what's it called, the Stardew Valley on his phone. He's like, yeah, this is what I'm playing lately, and I was like, okay. And next thing you know, the next couple of years, that game just sold
literally the best
bazillion copies. The owners, the creators, just fucking loaded now, and I'm just sitting here like, that's I think that's maybe mentally when I started pivoting towards just like little retro games on Steam and on my Switch, and it just started pivoting it away from AAA mentally. I don't know.
I'm a big fan of those. I just took a picture from a friend earlier. This is my collection.
Oh, nice!
So I have a ton of shit too. And it's just I just
love the fact that your spouse allows you to do that, and also having to use that phrase that phrase too, though, like. My wife won't let me have that. Hello.
She forced me to have this room.
She picked out all that Ethan Allen furniture, motherfucker.
Yeah. I think I was just from Bob's, but no.
But I mean, that's the thing is when times are tough, they're always like, buy gold. And I'm sitting here thinking in the back of my head.
Buy video games.
Yeah.
Now, right?
We have that cozy flea market in Raleigh, and there's always a couple of those dealers. And I'm sitting there going like, I'm going to be there like, with the family, like, oh, I want to get this copy of Tetris Attack on the SNES because that's one of the best puzzle games ever made.
10 people dead after a Pac-Man fight earlier at the flea market.
I'll be there like,
copy of Qbert.
Brian, this is the only copy of Beat 'em and Eat 'em. It's the only one in North Carolina.
I'll give you $100 for it.
Yeah, this is not a plug. No one's like paying me to advertise this or anything. This is just a kind of apropos of like our conversation. I've been watching Summer Games Done Quick this week. If you're not familiar with it, awesome week-long game speedrunning marathon. They do it twice a year, summer and winter. They raise money for Prevent Cancer Foundation. and Doctors Without Borders, and I'm just simply as a fan, like I love it, right? And they were advertising like a used game store in Raleigh, North Carolina, in one of their like interstitial ads called like Hidden Block Games, and just like the whole thing got me thinking is like,
that's a big
you
one.
know, it's just, it would be a shame if we lose physical games for like, you know, these niche boutique like game stores and being able to collect, and then also being able to like, you know, have access to like then go back and like have these people really passionate about speed running some retro game, and then like that's raising money for like, you know, a good cause. There's all of this like microcosm of like really good stuff that comes out of like video games and people's fandom and having like access to them. So you know, in a more like highfalutin philosophical level, it would be a shame to like kind of lose all those little sort of supporting pillars of video games that we don't really maybe think about every day.
I need to pop into Hidden Block. It's behind the Greyhound station, I think, on the way into downtown. And there's also one in New York called Video Games New York.
That place I've been to a bunch of times. They're actually.
I always forget you're from New York in spite of your accent.
Yeah, they're doing a series now with like Keenan and Kel was just there. They had Matthew Little, I think. So they're having some celebs come in and talk about their favorite games. But Hidden Block, Cliff, is actually a big sponsor of the Gaming Geek Expo that we're doing in September. So
nice.
they're a big thing down here. You mentioned something before, but the free to play games or games that just go away and you just can't play them anymore. That's the downside of digital stuff, right? Where they're just like, I just can't play anymore. So I saw this thing that was released the other day. It's called the Tax Classic Collection. It's on PlayStation and Steam. It was just a guy who made a bunch of PlayStation mobile games. Remember that? It was like a thing for a couple of years on like the PSP and the PS Vita era. And this collection has 10 games that were on that you just can't play anymore, but they put them in a collection. And that's cool. I like, but again, it's digital also. You know what I mean? But it's just another way. They're gonna have to keep re-releasing digital stuff. I feel like eventually.
Yeah. Well, they have those emulators that you can buy that are like this big that have like every game.
Oh, I have some.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean that it's really gonna. I think piracy and emulation is huge anyway, but it's gonna be the only way eventually to play some games, and it's like if that's what the industry's doing it to itself, then I don't see how we can complain about it. Because they can't complain, but it's like that's what you're doing to. You're forcing us to do this stuff, you know. If you want to play that game,
yeah. I mean, it's the whole like the endless piracy argument. You know, executives are like they're just gonna pirate our game, and I'm like, if you give them very few friction points and put it at a reasonable price, most people would be willing to spend a couple bucks on it. And the fact that you didn't do that, they're like, fuck it, I'll just pirate it.
The fact that Nintendo has been slow dripping their Nintendo Switch online stuff, and they give us like 1 or 2 games every few months. It's like, we'll buy your shit again. We've bought it 1,000 times. You just stop slow dripping these games, or they just release a really weird game you never heard of. And it's just like, just give us your whole library, Nintendo. We'll pay.
I do, but I mean, as opposed to Steam, like every time I log into Steam, there's just a big like summer sale, like 12 fucking games. I'm just like, what?
1,000 games on sale. Yeah,
I just load up.
Yeah,
I'll buy. This is, you know, speaking of like Demond earlier, like, you know, I think he and I will buy every re-release of like a Dragon's Dogma game or a Skyrim that ever comes out. So yeah, keep putting those out. I don't care. I'll buy it again.
Keep buying them.
Oh God.
This is so Cliff. I sent you this email the other day. We had a fan, Chris Ruvalo.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Sent us a great email.
Very, very well thought out.
Very good email. So on episode 0, I said something how it's just like, who cares if your system's always online? Most people's systems are always online anyway. You know, remember people like Xbox made this whole thing like your system must always be online or else it just won't work. People like freaked out. It's like, for the most part, I would think most people's consoles now are always connected to the internet for the most part. It's just like a thing. You don't turn it off. You just kind of leave it on, right? So this guy Chris wrote a great email kind of saying why this was not a problem, but why it's just kind of bad. Without going to everything, he mentioned, you know, if your Wi-Fi stinks, which we all know that if your Wi-Fi stinks or your internet goes down, then you literally just can't play those games. Totally. You can't access your games. If the power company just, you know, cuts your internet, whatever it is, or if you have just horrible online service, like when PlayStation kept getting shut down or DDoS, whatever that's called, you know, type days, and you couldn't play stuff for like a couple of weeks when PlayStation Network was down. That sucks. We get that, right? And I agree with all the stuff he said. I wasn't saying like it's just stop crying about it. But I'm just like, if your system's online all the time anyway, what's the big deal? But all the stuff he said also, I totally am with him on that, where it's like, it sucks that we're a slave to like, this has to be working, this has to be working, or we can't literally play this game that we freaking bought.
I mean, unless the game's like, of course, an online shooter or like an MMO or something. But I mean, there some games for a while that did the whole thing, like, we want you to just like check in, once every week or two.
Right. And it's just like, I shouldn't have to do that. Like, I already bought the fucking game.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Well, that's also if you just assume, like, if you assume your spouse is cheating all the time, then eventually your spouse is going to be like, you know what, you think I'm doing it, I might as well just fucking do it.
Oh no.
That's not projecting, for the record.
There are some games that are, like if I'm on my ROG Ally handheld, like that are just mostly Steam games. If I'm not connected, then I literally just can't play them. Even though they're downloaded, you still can't play because you need that connection. That I agree. That sucks. That shouldn't be a thing. I should be able to download it and it's mine. Like I should be able to play wherever I want with or without internet.
Yeah, Chris, what's your opinion on this without getting?
Yeah, I actually have like maybe a wholesome personal anecdote recently. So like I had gone back east. I was visiting like my grandfather, and we were chatting about just kind of like his history and like how he was like a pilot and how he missed being a pilot and all this other stuff. And I was like, that sounds like a really solvable problem. I went to, it's a small town. I went to the Walmart down the street. I grabbed like an Xbox. I came home. I came back to his place. I hooked it up, and I was like, I'm gonna get Flight Simulator on this thing. And it was actually, it was like for me, who's like, whatever, steeped in tech and games that are immensely painful, to like get Flight Simulator like working on this Xbox with like a shaky internet connection and like. Yeah. Getting like downloading the maps and getting him set up, and I was like, man, no wonder like there's struggles in like sort of growing just like the scope of potential gamers, because me, like I can't even like go buy an Xbox and get Flight Simulator hooked up without spending like 4 hours to do it. And so then it was like, okay, I had to make sure, well, this map was downloaded because his internet would be too slow to stream it, but then, okay, there's limited hard drive space. So it was a whole rigmarole. And, so I actually, I'm like a proponent for, can we just put as much on the freaking disc as possible and like not just, Cliff loves to use this like throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like we have a good thing going. Mm-hmm. Let's just like, if there was like, you got to pay a premium to buy the disc and the digital version is slightly cheaper, but like, obviously the margin on the digital version is much better for the publishers, then like, let's just do that. Right. Let's like,
they've never done it. I thought
we have pre-orders, for God's sakes, just let people pre-order and then print the number of discs. Dude, t-shirt companies have this figured out. I know the logistics of printing video games is much different, but still.
But more importantly, did you get it working for your grandfather?
Oh yeah. Of course I did. I absolutely got it working, and then I was worried that I was going to get a lot of text messages of like, I don't know how to play this. How do I use this dang controller? He like immediately figured out how to use the Xbox controller, and dude's just like flying around over like the US, just like having a freaking blast. Awesome. And I was like, hell yes, dude, nailed it. But like I can't go, like I can't easily download more maps and stuff for him. Like, so it's like kind of like he's got his little now time capsule of what's available. And it's like, it was just all on the disc, it would be no worries.
Grandpa, you can just fly around Hoboken. That's all you get.
Yeah, dude.
Good thing he wasn't like, I missed my time back in the bayou beating up alligators. Grandfather, here's Bayou Billy. Like I don't know. Good thing he said that. Good thing he said easy like one to kind of replicate.
Maybe we get you Hunt Showdown. I don't know if that's like your speed.
I missed beating up gangs when I was the mayor. Oh, here's Final Fight, Granddad. You can play this.
No, Flight Simulator, much more wholesome. I wanted to get him set up with like Forza, because he also was like a race car driver. Like, who are you? And like how are we not hanging out before now? Like race car driver, pilot. You were in the freaking like military. Like what? This is crazy. Like,
is your grandfather Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty? That's awesome.
Seriously, I hope you pressed him at some point during your relationship with your grandfather for some awesome stories, which I guarantee he has.
Yeah, I got some cool little just like tidbits of like flying around and just not like he wasn't a pilot in the military. He like became a pilot like as a personal thing, like
Gotcha.
afterwards.
Yeah, but still, that's all. It's
Yeah.
whenever I go to a party, I always just hang out with like the old people, the kids, or the pets. Everyone else can just fuck off.
Yeah, the pets are like no brainer, right? It's just
Yes.
like, cool, I'm gonna sit here and pet you, and like I don't have to
Exactly.
socialize. The kids are just full of energy and fun and enthusiasm, and then all of the like older folks have like just the wildest like cool stories to
And
tell.
the people in the middle, like the late 20s, early 30s, 40s, they always have an agenda, like it's not like, so how's your job? How much you making? And then the other side is, oh, when are you having kids? We have like, no, I'll go get chased around the house by your little assholes. And that's enough for one day. Okay. I'm good.
Yeah. Another thing I saw just today that Microsoft or Xbox, I guess, is considering moving Halo to under Activision for more stability because they can't even support their number one franchise anymore without them worrying that it's going to go under, which I thought was kind of crazy that they might give it
Well,
to
I mean, when you ship a Halo game without co-op out of the box,
yeah.
just saying. And
Yeah.
that's the thing is, I mean, the remaster, the remaster looks really good, but like where's a real new Halo? Like what's going on over there? I don't know. Like I say this is like the armchair guy on like, Reset Era. Like it's so easy to add multiplayer. Just throw two guys at it, kind of shit.
Yeah.
But it's like I say this as a Halo fan, and I think Gears E-Day looks fucking great, and they got their shit together. Come on,
It does look great.
like what are they doing?
Chris, do you think? I mean, do you see a big difference in like, or maybe? Why is it so hard for these AAA games to get done and last and survive in these studios versus all these indie studios popping up doing really cool, unique, creative, weird shit, and they're kind of getting by? Is there like a? Do you have any thoughts
Oh
on that? Is
man,
there,
I'm just a little guy. I don't know.
I'm just curious if you had any.
It's probably just like it's a huge confluence of factors, and I think each studio is different. There's like a pretty, I mean, probably easy answer, right? Which is, well, not every indie game pops off. We hear about the ones that do. There's like a bazillion that are coming out on Steam every day, and itch too, for that matter. But for the big games, it's like, dude, like the cost is enormous, right? Like like any normal AAA game right now, it's like reasonable for it to be tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, and then you add like marketing on top of that, and then it's like, well, you can't just like. There's actually oh man, there's a good report that came out. I think it was earlier this year, looking at sort of the financials, right? And it's like if you invest in making a game that costs that much, and it comes out, and you're not at least beating like having your money sitting in the S&P. Like you can't, no investor, like doesn't matter how much cash is in their pocket, they can't justify financially spending $200 million on the game that might return, that might break even, right? If a break even is not good enough, 2x is not good enough.
Lucky, yeah.
So there's an aspect of that.
They're saying GTA 6 is between 1 and 2 billion that it costs to make, which is like.
I think GTA 6, despite the cost, I feel pretty confident like that will just suck all the oxygen out of the room around like this large window of time of when it releases. I think everyone and their grandfather, right, will be playing GTA.
Well, Chris, I want to pose this question to you. I think Brian and I, we talked about it in a prior episode. It's been how many years since the last proper GTA, right?
It was 2013 that 5 came out.
Yeah. Now let's take your average kid gamer who's 11, 12, 13, right? It reminds me of Chris. I'm pretty sure you were at Boss Cube and I threw that party at the house and I had the big slip and slide out back. And I was like, where are all the fucking kids? The Boss Key employees' kids. They're all downstairs sitting on the sofa with iPads watching GTA mod videos, which to be fair, there's a lot of funny, great content on that. But they would rather sit there and watch these GTA mod videos than jump outside and with a fucking pool and a slip and slide and stuff. Yeah. And that's the thing is, but do they actually play GTA? Like, that's the thing about Tim Sweeney over at Epic. He's been very transparent about his Roblox envy. Even though, like, I remember, like, everything I've ever seen out of Roblox looks like total shit. And so kids, for the most part, don't really care as much about graphics. Minecraft's graphics on paper are shit, but it has a ton of charm, and Microsoft's done a fantastic job of managing it. It's a great experience, great IP, blah, blah, blah. And, but yeah, do kids really care that GTA 6 is going to play like a movie and look like a movie? Do they? I don't know. I'm being that like that asshole talking head on like Fox News. I'm just saying, is your mother a whore? I don't know. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's probably less the fidelity that's like enticing, and I think it's just going to be the network effect, the critical mass of like everyone's just going to play it because it's GTA, and GTA does crazy stuff, and it's like this huge emergent sandbox, and you know, the more people pile on, the more people will pile on, and like there'll just be, I mean, yeah, there's going to be people just consuming like video content, but there's just going to be there'll be people playing GTA for like just to generate video content in this kind of you know, reactor of like you know, the building up the zeitgeist around it. And so I think like, yeah, for that game in particular, fidelity, it's almost irrelevant. I mean, you want it, you know, they want it to look good, right?
But it's that sandbox, right? Like there's people who are like are gonna want that, like, you know, I'm playing True Romance. I'm showing my age with that film reference. And that's great, but like it's that sandbox where it's just the ultimate example of the whole like one of the examples of great game design I always use is like, I wonder if they thought of this. Can I do this? And then when you're like, oh shit, they did. I can actually do that. And that's just such an amazing moment. And then you're like, how much money did that cost? And that's the developer part of the brain, you know, in order to make sure that, you know, the dog, I'm walking my dog, the dog takes a shit. Oh, I found poo bags. Now I can pick up the dog's stuff and I can open the trash bin and throw it away. And like, and the guy has an animation of doing this. Like, it's a dumb example of my dogs, blah, blah, blah. But that's, you know, that's all I got right now.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know. I think the hype hasn't, like, obviously it's high. I don't know if it's died down necessarily, but I feel like it's not. I feel like it went like it's coming out in November, right? I feel like late October, it's going to really be.
When is it coming? Is it?
I think early November now. Yeah, they said. Okay. So I think like sometime in October, I think the marketing is really going to go nuts.
Yeah, they haven't even started doing the marketing push
right.
yet.
Right. It's all been. Yeah, it's all been like word of mouth hype.
So did you see people were like analyzing one of the trailers because like the Ferris wheel wasn't reflecting in the water? And they're like, oh, got him.
So stupid. It's like, can you just give him a break? Jesus Christ. This game's took 15 years to make.
Yeah, there's some poor guy there that's been working for like 12 months, 80 hours a week, just trying to like make sure that like the, you know, everything reflects off the water properly. And he's just like, oh my God.
Some asshole on Twitter. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it's like, shut up.
Chris, why'd you assume it was a guy?
It always is.
All right. It could be whoever, right? Somebody is working 80 hours a week, 12 months on that water.
Got him.
Oh, I thought the guy complaining was a guy. Sorry. Yes. The designer could be anybody, but the person complaining is definitely a dude.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's the best of times and the worst of times in the industry. And I have this thing that I'm possibly doing, and I'm like, should I do this? Because when Boss Key cratered, the internet thought it was fucking hilarious. You know, I saw there's YouTube videos with like millions of views, and I'm like, oh, okay. You know, we only worked 3.5 years, you know, worked our ass off on this, and it didn't work out. And now you get to make videos. Cool. Okay. So, you know, the thing is I didn't play shit for like a couple of years, Chris, honestly, after the studio imploded. And Lauren's like, we should play some games. And I'm like, no, let's go to the bar and I'll read a book and you play Pokemon Go. And then, you know, finally the last like year and a half, I'm finally playing things, you know, like Mouse PI and all sorts of little things. And Brian's actually suggested a couple fun ones. What was that Western RPG?
West of Loathing.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious.
That's funny. Actually, it's funny you should mention that, right? Because Kingdom of Loathing is like its predecessor, and there's like this really short era. It depends on how long you've been around playing games, like kind of after MUDs, but early MMOs. There's like persistent browser-based RPGs, like Kingdom of Loathing and like Legend of the Red or Green Dragon and Neopets and all that sort of stuff. So I've actually kind of been like, I don't know, I got this nostalgia bug, and I've been messing around with like kind of picking away at like making something that like it harkens back to that on the side, and it's been really fun to like learn like web and web game development and all the like sort of unique aspects to making game feel with like in a web browser, right? It's like it's very, very different than a 3D game.
Did you remember Newgrounds?
Oh, I was like a constant Newgrounds consumer. That's probably why I'm so depraved at this point, because of Newgrounds.
Did you play West of Loathing at all? After
I didn't play West of Loathing. No, I was only familiar with it because I knew that it was the same folks that did Kingdom. Yeah.
Brian projected to me, he's like, yeah, I have one piece of advice. Whenever there's a spittoon, no matter what it tells you, no matter how descriptive and disgusting the text is, keep digging.
You can dig it in a dirty spittoon. And it's one of the funniest like pieces of dialogue I've ever seen in a game. Like, and it's always like the game is everything almost is very, 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 very funny in it. And there's a sequel, or I guess it's a triple, whatever it's called, Shadows Over Loathing, I think it was called, which is very good also. But West of Loathing, I feel it was just like it was so funny and so good.
Is it the Shadows Over Loathing? Is that the newer one, or is it?
Yeah, Shadows is
Okay.
it came out a couple years ago. West was before that, but yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Cliff, you want to talk comedy real quick before we, or just
I'm looking at the bullet point. Wait, what is Jack the Whipper again?
I don't know. You wrote that.
I don't fucking know. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to be trying my open mic for 3 minutes tomorrow night. It's
Sorry, I
at the
can't
fall.
make it. Yeah, I'll be in.
It's all good. You gotta eat. But yeah, it's gonna focus on God getting lazy and just making multiple holes on people and creatures doing multiple things. So
don't go too blue.
I know. That's Brian's advice to me, because I think I opened one of them talking about eating ass, and that's not necessarily, Nate. It's like Nate Bargatze before he. Yeah, that's a whole other topic. And
it was specifically eating your wife's ass, who was sitting right in the front row listening to this.
And now everybody's looking at her going like,
yeah.
Does it taste like nutmeg? Like,
I was like, reel that back a little bit.
Reel it back.
She's a Louisiana girl. Does it taste like
she is excellent sport about all of this.
Yes,
to say the least.
Lauren is descended from some saint.
Yes.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that woman puts up with. Brian has so keep your eyes peeled, kids. I might be doing stuff besides consulting. Brian's he's taping his big old special coming up.
Yes, August 13th, I'm taping my comedy special. And people always ask, I've been doing this for almost 22 years, right? And nowadays, there are a lot of comics who've been doing this like 2 or 3 years, putting out a special, which I find mind-boggling. When I was coming up, it was only the best people that got to put out a special, right? Netflix was, that wasn't anything. It was like the HBO specials. That was like the big thing. And then there was a couple other streaming things or things around that people could do a special. But now it's so DIY, anybody can do it. It's just taken me way too long to finally do my first special, but I'm excited. 1 month almost. Actually, when this comes out, 1 month to the day, August 13th, I'll be recording my first special down here in Raleigh, which will be super fun.
It's actually the anniversary of my father's death, so full circle there.
We'll give him a shout out.
I'll be there. I got my tickets, dude. But yeah,
thank you. We'll dedicate it to him. Yeah.
So, Chris, what can you plug besides your web-based?
I got nothing to plug. I'm just kind of doing hobby stuff, and if I have anything to actually plug, I'll send it over.
Chris,
to you guys.
we'll always have that party. I think it was PAX Prime, where we were at that bar that had the wheel, and he spun the wheel, and it was like at one point it landed on shots for the entire bar, and I was
No, that was the jackalope at GDC, I think, with the pachinko thing, right?
Oh, that one too, yeah.
That one too.
That was crazy. I think you had ended up buying at one point the whole bar like champagne, just by virtue of like I don't even remember how much money you spent on that pachinko thing, but it was.
Yeah, so.
It was
look at the look you just gave. You're thinking of your accountant. You're like, oh shit! You told me I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I'm not proud of myself, but hey, good stories, yay! But yeah, hey Chris, dude, it's good to see your face. And thank you for throwing your hat in the ring with Bosky. It still will always hurt my itty bitty heart that didn't work out, but I'm glad you've moved on to all sorts of other stuff that you can't talk about. And then you'd have to kill me. So don't be a fucking stranger.
Hey,
I'll give Damon lots of hugs and kisses for you.
That'll be fun for the podcast if somebody kills you on the show, Cliff. I'm just saying that'll get us some good views. Just keep that.
It'd be a great start for a web-based series like Lonely Girl 15.
That wouldn't be a very evergreen episode because you wouldn't be able to shoot any more podcast episodes after that.
I know. It'd be the finale, the unexpected finale of
and then Sony pulls the plug, no longer available. Yeah. Hey, that was a callback, Brian. See?
Good callback. Perfect. Nailed it. And speaking of our rebranding, F13 podcast, we've put a lot of posts up in the past week. We decided to the earliest reboot ever after 9 episodes, but I think people seem to really like the name and everything. So Cliff went out and went crazy and bought merch already, which is cool. and hopefully we have some to sell for people. Maybe we can buy some shirts or I don't
Brian,
know.
I have a bunch of shirts waiting for you in my laundry room. So next time we catch up, and I'm not washing them for you. You can wash them your damn self.
You don't have to wash them. Wait, what do you mean? Like, oh, you bought like other stuff?
Well, just the ones that we talked about, like like when you first buy a shirt, the first thing you do is you wash it, so it's it doesn't smell like the factory of misery.
I don't. I'm not that
okay.
Fancy.
Well, you're raw dogging your shirts, so more power to you.
Awesome, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Thank you guys for having me. This is super fun.
And everybody else, thanks for listening and joining us. Our first Twitch, we had a couple people lurking around, so that was fun to see. A few people leaving comments, but yeah, we'll try it again. Maybe we'll keep build up the Twitch. I throw my shirts away. Remember Dame Dash on one of the NTV cribs, like one of the Rockefeller guys. Every time he would take off a white T-shirt, he would throw it in the garbage. That's all he wore was white tees. He would never wash it, never put it. He would just throw them out. It's like that's just ridiculous, dude.
That's one way to keep it fresh.
You're killing the planet.
You're killing the planet with your T-shirt habit, dude.
Dame Dash. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us on
Thanks, y'all.
F13 podcast, and we will talk to you all next week. Bye bye. We're gonna start the theme song, and as we say bye bye, everybody.